Hi, this is Barbara Evers. I am back sharing one of my short stories with you today. This one has special meaning, especially for the month of October. And hang around at the end and I'll explain to you why it's important to be aware of this type of information in October. The story is called Pieces. It was published in the Moonshine Review. This one was from 2013. And I always have loved this chain symbol on the cover because it really relates well to a lot of the stories in this particular issue and especially to mine. So here's Pieces. I stare at my husband, my hand held to my temple. He's yelling at me. The ringing in my ears blocks the sound. His voice comes to me muffled, like he's far away. My head feels thick, heavy, jumbled. He's still yelling. I see his red, angry face, his mouth roaring. I think I should care, but I don't know why. The smell of scorching butter assaults me. I walk past him into the kitchen where butter sizzles on the griddle, little puddles drying up, turning brown. I turn off the burner and stare at the Teflon surface. What are you doing? Jimmy asks. At least he's quit yelling. I hear him better, but my ears still muffle his voice. He looks at me differently, curious, maybe a little less mad. Why was this on, I say? He tilts his head and stares at me, blue eyes meant to pierce my soul. Somehow it doesn't matter right now. You turned it on, he says, and pinches his lower lip between his thumb and forefinger. Oh, I look away. Why did I turn it on? Raw cube steak sits on a plate, a bowl of flour next to it. I must have been making dinner, I say. I don't remember doing it, but it's a cinch he wasn't cooking. He crosses his arms. Sarcasm drips from his voice. You don't remember? I look back at him, unsure of what to say. I grip the counter and hold on. The baby's cries penetrate the shuttered walls of my ears, angry screams from crying too long. I walk toward the nursery. She must be hungry. Where are you going? Jimmy says, annoyance in his voice. I need to feed the baby. He grabs my arm. She's crying. She's hungry. Why would he stop me? He drops his hand to his side. You just fed her. I did? I stumble back a step. I don't remember feeding her or starting dinner. All I remember is the phone ringing. I had answered it. The rest is just a blank. He's still staring at me, but his face registers fear. So that's what it looks like. Usually I'm the one to show fear, and he loves putting it there. Why does he enjoy seeing that on my face? What's wrong with you? He steps closer. Concern radiates in his eyes. I shake my head. Pain explodes in my brain and a moan escapes. Jimmy leads me to a chair. He hunkers down in front of me. Are you okay? I don't know. What did you do today? What did I do today? I don't know. My hands start to shake. He falls back on his heels, rubs his face. What's your name? Relief. I know that. Jill. Okay. Now what did you do today? His body leans toward me, begging for an answer. I claw through my brain and come up empty. I search the room for clues. Check the clock, 6:10. I glance at the TV, the news, President Carter. What did I do today? I turn back to my husband, see the fear growing in his eyes. You took the baby to your mom's. His voice sounds so gentle now. I picture mom's house, but not from today, not getting up, dressing the baby, driving the car. She still cries. Jimmy tries to stop me, but I ignore him and go to the nursery, anxious for something normal. I pick her up, hold her close, and hum a lullaby. Thankful I know the tune. My cries settle into hiccuping as I carry her to the den and sit in the rocking chair. She quiets to little snuffling sounds, her warm body cuddled against me in comfort. Whose? I bury my face in her baby scent. Jimmy grabs the phone book. What's your doctor's name? What? You're a doctor. He shakes his head at me. You want me to call mine? I stare at the phone book, willing it to give up its secrets. Tell me the name I need. I try to see it as it looks on the page. W-I-L, Will. Will. A hazy image shapes in my mind. Earl Willis, I say. While Jimmy calls, I walk back into the kitchen. Something happened here. I stare back at Jimmy and remember the phone ringing, me answering it. Then what? The doctor said to bring you now, Jimmy says. I'm calling Mom to babysit. I nod once, flinching from a shooting pain, and turn back to my puzzle. The phone call. A memory leaks in from his boss. Was it important? I had hung up and headed back to the kitchen when I shift the baby to my hip and stare at the small space. What happened here? Jimmy stands by the phone and my mind flashes to him looming over me and yelling. What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Leaving no room for me to answer, backing me into the dining room. He's on the phone now with his mother. I listen to him try to talk, tears in his voice. I don't know, Mom. She doesn't remember. I don't know why. No, yes, we'll be there soon. I stand at the entrance to the dining room. Where was I when I forgot? My gaze travels to those stupid overhanging cabinets. I return to that spot and stand in the same place. My fingers probe my temple. Tender, soft pain. I know what he did. His mother comes out to the car and takes the baby. What's wrong, Jill? Worry and confusion blink back from her eyes. I don't say anything. How can I? He's her son. She doesn't remember, Mama. Jimmy, what did you do? The scolding in her tone is obvious. Nothing, Mama. He lies. I know it. She knows it. She looks at me, her mouth dropping open in that peculiar way it does when she suspects something, but is afraid to speak of it. She breaks from my stare and looks down at the baby sleeping in her arms. I suspect she knows, probably has known, but she never says anything. No one saved her. Why would she save me? We drive away. In the car, Jimmy asks me, Jill, who's Earl Willis? What game is he playing now? I don't know why. That's what you said your doctor's name is. It's not. He takes his eyes off the road to penetrate me with his hard blue gaze. His name is Edmund Willis. I shrug. Everything's jumbled. Dr. Willis ushers me into an examining room. Jimmy follows close on my heels, not letting me out of his sight. So tell me what happened, the doctor says. Jimmy opens his mouth to speak. Dr. Willis stops him. I want her to tell me. I look at him and pluck out the words. I don't know. I was in the kitchen. I don't remember. Do you remember anything? I glance at Jimmy and swallow. He studies me like a bug. I've been trying. I know who I am, where I am. I shrug. I sort of remembered your name. What do you mean? I told him Earl Willis. The doctor pauses and thinks for a moment. Do you know an Earl? I claw through my brain, searching for clues. Dr. Willis waits, watching me. Earl Willis. It hits me. Earl Wilson, my parents' minister. The doctor nods. Easy to confuse, both familiar names. Tell me about today. Jimmy says I went to Mom's today, but I don't remember. I only remember that the phone rang. Jimmy's head jerks up. I hadn't told him I remembered that. My heart hammers and I look away, seeking refuge in the doctor's kind face. I answered it. I don't remember anything else. Did you fall? Hit your head? Dr. Willis asked. My ears were ringing. Everything was muffled. I stop and listen for a moment. It hurts to shake my head. Dr. Willis lifts my chin and flashes a light in each of my eyes. He probes my head. Ouch. I shrink back, tender pain swelling in my temple. Here? His hands apply pressure. Yes. Dr. Willis examines my scalp. It looks a little inflamed. Did you hit your head? I don't know. He turns to Jimmy. Did she? Jimmy shakes his head. He drops his face into his hands. She wouldn't tell me what he said on the phone. She hung up and walked away. I followed her in. He starts to cry, his shoulders shaking. I can't believe it. He almost admitted it. I say nothing and wait. Dr. Willis's gaze shifts back and forth between us. He's propped against the counter covered with all of his doctor stuff, jars of tongue depressors, cotton balls, stainless steel instruments. He picks up the reflex hammer and bounces it in his palm. Maybe he'll whack Jimmy with it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The doctor comes back over to me and tilts my head up, searching my face. There's a question in his eyes I can't answer. He shines the pinpoint light into my pupils again and flicks it away several times. His fingers probe my scalp, withdrawing when I flinch. He turns to Jimmy. Were you yelling at her? Jimmy nods. Dr. Willis crosses his arms and studies the floor. After a few moments, he looks at me again, that same unanswered question reflected in his wrinkled brow. It's obvious you hit your head somehow. I stare back, unable to answer him. He uncrosses his arms and turns to Jimmy. But she doesn't have a concussion. Jimmy looks hopeful. Sometimes under stress, we can have small nervous breakdowns, Dr. Willis says. That could be what happened. Why she lost some of her memory. We call it short-term amnesia. Jimmy puts on his serious, we're talking man-to-man face. He nods. The doctor's going to let Jimmy off the hook. Why doesn't he help me? I glance at Jimmy. He's beyond remorse. He's found his out. I lost mine. I think of my baby sleeping in his mother's arms. I have to go back. The moment of help vanished as quickly as it appeared. I refuse to cry. Will I ever remember? I whisper. Dr. Willis tilts his head to the side. I don't know. You might, but don't count on it. He stands over Jimmy. You may never know what that phone call was about. We walk out of the examining room. Dr. Willis escorts us to the door. No charge for this one. Just take it easy tonight. Let me know if things get worse. Jimmy shakes the doctor's hand and we walk away. I wonder how he'll use a nervous breakdown against me in the future. He drapes his arm over my shoulder. I cringe inside, but I let him. So, if you don't know, October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I know a lot of people know it's breast cancer awareness, and that's a very important cause, but it's also domestic violence awareness. And I wanted to make sure to share this story with you at the beginning of the month to make you aware of this issue. The story is set back in the late 70s, early 80s, because situations were different back then. A doctor could suspect this and still not report anything. These days, they would take a much stronger approach than they did back then. And I'm sorry to say that this story is largely based on an actual incident that happened to me in my first marriage. I did lose my memory. I did get banged into the cabinets. By the way, I never did remember whatever I'd forgotten. And he did. Pretty much the prognosis is what the doctor gave us. I've changed names, obviously, to protect everyone. And just wanted to make you aware that domestic violence is a serious issue. Most of the women caught up in it don't know how to get out. They're waiting for someone to help them in a lot of cases, and it's not always easy to leave. I'll stop at that point. If you're more interested in knowing about domestic violence, my blog, The Workbench of Faith, has a whole section talking about my life during abuse, and you can go check it there. If you want to hear other stories from me, and they're not all like this one, I promise you, please do subscribe to my channel. And I believe there should be a block that pops up on the screen about this point with my picture on it. You can click there and subscribe. Please share this video with people you think would be interested or could benefit from it. And as always, stay safe, stay smiling. Thank you.